and which might drive autonomously, then you can really create an interesting business model. Because if you make the mass, just assume that you get 30% less than Uber is doing today, and that you can use and operate this car 70% of the time, then you will find that you can make more than $100,000 a year out of such a big.
When will that be the biggest business model?
This is a very good question. Nobody obviously knows. Many parties tried it, or are trying. It's not really taking off. In a second, I will give you my interpretation why I think it doesn't take off, and why I think that we can give a push to this business. But one thing is very clear. Today's cars, they are used between 3 and 5% average in the world. 3 and 5% of the time. Something which you pay $40,000 up to whatever, $150,000 for, it's between 3 and 5% of the time. The rest of the time, it's not only that you don't use it, it generates more cost, because you have to buy parking space. This might be not so much an issue here in Europe, but if you go to the big cities, to the United States or to China, then this is the biggest cost factor right now. So this does not make sense at all. So, and there's a second trend you can see. At least the younger people, they are not aiming for owning cars like it was before, saying this I bought it and this is mine, I can put it in front of my house. They don't want it. Many of them not even do driving licenses. They want, what do they want? They want mobility. They want to have access, immediate access to mobility between, let's say, 1 and 3 minutes. What you have today if you park your car around the corner, let's say. This you can do today. If you use Uber, normally, in very rare cases, it might take a bit longer, but normally within 3 to 5 minutes the car will arrive. The second thing that you might want is safety and security. This you get with Uber today as well. The selection of the cars is quite good. Then you might want to see a certain level of, if you want luxury or comfort, or you even would like to see a brand expression with the transportation you use. This you cannot do with Uber today, because you don't have any influence what is coming. But the most important thing, from my understanding, is the experience when you are inside the car. Because today there might come a Toyota Corolla or whatever kind of car, just to take this as an example, and your phones are not connected, you don't understand the user interface, it's just a car. You sit in the car and you cannot do anything but look into your smartphone. Now, if you think about a product which fulfills two requirements. One is the product recognizes you and is able to adapt to your configuration, to your needs. So it will feel like your car, because you enter it and you feel this is your environment. It's the first condition. And the second one is, if it creates a user experience where you don't want to look to your smartphone any longer, because whatever you do here, you can do better and in a more excellent way within your car. If you would be able to fulfill those two conditions, then I'm absolutely sure that this will take off. Now, what is Byton doing? The first point, individualization. We have a face recognition camera inside the car. This camera recognizes you as a driver. When you do this for the first time, you can choose to create a profile of you if you want. And this profile is stored in our Byton Live Cloud, and the whole configuration, your phone connections, your menu setups, seat position and steering wheel as well, but this might be not the most important thing. Your digital content is all stored in our cloud. So now you leave this car and you fly out to San Francisco and enter a Byton in San Francisco. The car immediately will recognize you, so the face recognition camera will download your whole content from the cloud, and this car will look exactly like the one you left in Oslo last night. So whatever, and now you can think about hundreds of thousands of those cars. Whatever Byton you enter in the world, it will feel like your car. The exterior color might be different, but from the interior, from the experience, it feels like your car. And this is, from my understanding, the biggest step you have to do to make shared mobility and ride-hailing and ride-sharing really work. And the second one is, it's not only that you have all this available, it creates an outstanding user experience. You can do whatever you used to do with your smartphones, but it's better. The screens are bigger, the connectivity is faster, and the user interface is at least as easy to use like this one. It's difficult maybe to top it. Maybe in some aspects it's easier. So this is the experience we are going to create. And we deeply believe having this product, having the right product, like I just described, and combine this with a logistics, with an app like you were, for example, today, will create business models and business cases which are the real interesting ones for new mobility companies. And if you ask how does it compare to today's car companies, then I would say they will definitely be able to build electric cars. They don't do it today for good reasons, because they want to protect their business. If they really would be forced to do it, then they can build electric cars without any doubt. Are they able to build connected cars with great user experience? Probably not, because they are car companies. But to build user experience, you need consumer electronics and software know-how. And are they able to transform their business models from selling cars into something else? I would say no, because this would mean that you have to change 100,000 people, or the car companies, the big ones, have between 100 and 400,000 people. You have to transform those people in a new organization with new skills, thinking in different style, and operating different business models. And I think this is really, really difficult. So if you start from zero, from scratch, you have a way better chance to make this happen. And this is the reason why we founded Byton, and this is why we think, with all respect, that we can be successful.
And you will still sell cars the traditional way?
We will sell cars as well, because this is for the foreseeable time. It will still be a business model, because this shared mobility has to take off. One of the things which is important here, in my early days in BMW, when we had the first electric car some years ago, nobody liked, at least in Germany, nobody liked electric cars. Everybody said, no range, no fun to drive, and so on and so forth. This changed dramatically in the second people sit into a car. Yeah? So the first time you enter a Tesla P100D, for example, something like this, you will never doubt again that electric cars can really have fun. But it's experience you need. You can talk about this for decades, it will not change the people. They have to experience it. And in the shared mobility approach I just lined out, you can advertise this, you can talk about it. This will not have too much. You will have to bring the people into the cars to get that they really experience it, and then this will grow. And this will take some time. It will start slow, and then it will take. So the first column of the business model is still selling cars, and we are going to start end of next year doing so. The second one is, and we are already on the way to define a lot of those contents we are going to sell, functionality, over-the-air updates, just software. And the third one, the shared mobility, we are going to kick off as well, but this will ramp up over time.
If you compare yourself to Tesla, how far behind would you consider they to be? They have all the bells and whistles, and they could probably do some of the same you're talking about here.
Yes, so Tesla definitely has an advantage because they exist since, I think, 14 years now, 15 years, something like this. And they did an excellent and outstanding job to create a car company, a brand, a premium electric car brand out of nothing. Yeah? Starting in a point in time where everybody said electric cars will never work, this guy created a premium brand and brought, without any car experience before, cars to the market. This is outstanding, and this is without any doubt a great job. And the fact that we can do this, what we are doing now, that we can just create vehicles, not very, let's say, high positioned ones or affordable price, is because they were groundbreaking for electromobility. Now, when you look to the future, they are successful today. If you look to Model S, they are selling more Model S in California, and I think even in Europe, like BMW is selling 7 Series cars, or even 5 Series cars, so this is quite successful. But now they are on the point of scaling the volume, because all those brand shaper products, they are important and nice to shape a brand, but they don't change the world, because the volume is very small. If you want to change the world, then you need volume. Volume means you have to offer it, to be able to offer it in an affordable price position, and this is, Tesla is talking about $35,000. We identified this position at around $45,000, which is 300,000 renminbi in China. And there, the thing starts to become a bit difficult, because to build cars in high volume, on high quality, and at the target price point, this is one of the most complex things in industry. The traditional car companies, it took them 130 years to come to the point and to the excellence they are today. And this one they really can. This one they really can do. BMW is doing 2.5 million cars every year, coming out of a plant in high quality, premium. They know how to do this. So what you better don't do in this situation, try to reinvent everything. If you try to reinvent production process for cars, then you might get into trouble. So our approach is different in this area. We're saying whatever is the traditional part of the car, we want to adapt the excellence of the premium car industry which is available today. We are not going to reinvent production process. We are not going to reinvent, let's say, development process of a car, because this is available today. Yeah? So we use standard technologies, premium but standard. We use the know-how of the premium car industry to do the mechanical part of the car. One of the reasons why our design center and concept center is in Munich. All those big premium OEMs are around Munich in 200 kilometers. Now, when it comes to user experience, look to the interior. When you talk about variability, rotating seats, big screens, high-speed connectivity, a complete new electronic and software architecture, over-the-air update, sending functionality, this is something completely new that you cannot copy from car industry. This one you have to copy or to adapt, let's say, maybe not copy, from consumer electronics and from internet industry. And this is our approach that we, for example, the head of our unit, which is called ICE. ICE means Intelligent Car Experience. He's coming from Apple. He's not a car guy. So we have to teach him a bit how to do things that they will, from a quality perspective, fit in a car at the end of the day. But they have a completely different style of thinking. They're not, if you ask a car guy to create the most advanced interior he can think about, then you will find some fancy things, but you will still see an instrument in front of you, you will see a screen in the middle, and you will see all the things you see today. If you ask an Apple guy to do it, then it will be completely different. Yeah, he says, okay, I will come up with a big screen and some touch and nothing else. No physical switches any longer from a hardware side, and from a user experience side, he will not think like an engineer. If you look to menu structures in today's cars, where all the things where you find what you have to find, then you clearly see in most of the cases this is done by an engineer. He had all those different functions, and then he grouped it in a specific. It's very logical, but it's not easy to use and not intuitive. Those guys have a different approach. They don't think about it this way. They come from the user perspective. What is easy and intuitive for the user? Whatever logic is behind it. So in this area, we are very different, and we innovate and we create IP.
But the big question here today is, when can the Norwegian public buy the SUV? How long do they have to wait, and what will it cost?
So we are going to market end of next year, in China first. This might be the bad news here, because China is our first market and the biggest one. We are roughly thinking that. Are planning roughly that more or less maybe half of our volume will stay in China at the end of the day. It's the biggest market, and it's a very innovative market. People in China, at least young people, they are very open to new products, to new technologies, to fancy products. This is compared to my country, Germany, for example, is completely different. If you are used to drive a BMW for 5 generations, then the next one might be a BMW as well. It has to happen a lot that you change this. In China, the guy said, "Oh, this is cool, big screen and blah blah blah. You can do some games on it, and this is something completely new. Where can I buy it?" And then he's just buying it. The bad thing is, if there's another product coming out which is even more innovative and fancy, then he will step away from you to take the other one. So you have to be then innovation leader, and you have to be the one at the forefront. Second market will be United States, which mainly is California. We are going to California mid of 2020. And then the third market will be Europe, Norway, very important as a lead market here for electromobility in the second half of 2020.
But the second half of 2020.
But how will you sell it, and what about service centers and things like that?
So first of all, it will be, but we have some specialists over there, we can discuss with them later. We will use a direct sales model, so no completely blown dealership model. There are two reasons behind it. First of all, if you want to use your car as a platform, if you want to sell your customers content, then you have to know them. You have to create a sales channel to them. The traditional car companies, one of the biggest challenges they have, they don't know their customers, or at least not all of them, because they sell cars to a dealer organization. The dealer is the point of contact to the customer. The car company doesn't have the sales channel. So you have to do direct sales. You have to have direct business interactions with your customers to be able to use this model. And this is more than theory. I don't know if you know, as we are a company rooted in China, everyone in our company is using a tool which is called WeChat. Don't know if you have heard about WeChat. Something like WhatsApp and Facebook and Apple Pay together in one tool. This app has more than 1 billion users already, most of them obviously in China. And it's for free. But the company who created it, Tencent, has a value of, I think, 290 or 300 billion US dollars. Why? Because creating this app and spreading it out and giving it to people for free creates 1 billion sales channels. And then the guy started to provide something which Chinese people like, is games. They really like kind of games for their handies. And there might be an average spending of maybe only $5 per month, which is 60 per year. But if you multiply 60 by 1 billion people, then you really do revenue. This is amazing. Yeah? And the value of this company is based on this business model. And we will not have 1 billion cars for the foreseeable time. But in principle, it's the same approach. But if you want to do this, you have to know your customer, so it's direct sales. The second reason is in the premium car industry, you might know this or not, cost of what is called cost of retail can reach up to 25 or more, or even more percent. 25%. The whole revenue can be cost of retail. Think about a company doing 60 billion revenue, 70 billion revenue. It's a huge amount of money. And if you do direct sales, our assumption is, we obviously have to prove this, that the cost of retail can be reduced by maybe up to 50%. So maybe might stay with 11, 12, 13 or something. And this is a huge amount of money. By the way, one of the reasons why we can offer this car in this price position. Now, this direct sales model can have different let's say, how do you say, the shapes. You can do it by internet directly. You could just order online. This will happen, but most likely in very innovative big cities. We might think about mobile sales agents as people are driving around with a VR system. We have a very powerful VR system where you can experience your car from outside, from inside, in every detail. Really cool. And we will have obviously brand stores. The first one we are going to open in Shanghai quite soon. And we even might have some, how do you call this, a kind of sales agents maybe, people who are selling our cars on our behalf and get the commission for it. But it will still be a direct sales model. The contract will be done between us and our customers. And this kind of, if you create a product where the brand value is user experience and not fun to drive, you might not have to offer a test drive, for example, for everyone. There still will be people who want to do a test drive, but I think many of them will believe that the car will drive in the right way. They want to see the experience, and this experience, this one you can create by VR. So you sit in your living room, and one of our employees is coming over, bring the tool. When you put it on, you configure it, you experience, and say, this is the one I want.
What about repairs? Sorry.
The price, yeah. So entry price will be, and this is coming from the Chinese market, identified in the Chinese market, 300,000 renminbi, which is today with today's exchange rate something like 43,000 US dollar. This is the entry model.
Yeah.
This will be two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. 71 kilowatt hours battery, 400 kilometers of range, and 400 kilometers of range, the base model, 71 kilowatt hours battery. And then you have options. You can add a front wheel drive, you can add another drivetrain to the front axle, having a four-wheel drive then. We have an extended battery pack with 95 kilowatt hours, will bring you up to 520 kilometers of range. And then you can add all the options you want. So the average transaction price will be higher obviously than that, but the entry price will be.
But the entry SUV with forward drive and 95 kWh battery.
No, the entry one has rear-wheel drive and the
Yeah,
small
but,
battery.
I mean,
Rear-wheel drive.
the SUV.
The SUV, our first model, the Byton, the entry model. We are talking about one product for now, which
Yeah,
which
okay.
we announced. This is Byton with the seat standing outside here, presenting outside. And the base configuration of this car is rear-wheel drive, and the small, it's not really small, but the battery with 400 kilometers range. This you will get for 44,000 US dollar.
Including subsidies.
Without subsidies. Our business case is built completely without subsidies because if they still will be available, great, but I don't believe so much in subsidies, to be honest. Norby might be a good example that I'm wrong, but from my feeling, subsidies can maybe drive a technology, can initiate a market, but this will can never drive an industry or grow a market in a sustainable way. At the end of the day, the business case has to work without subsidies. And so our whole business case is done without subsidies.
Can you describe how you can keep that price level? I mean, you put in quite a large battery, lots of expensive sensors.
Yeah, from a high level standpoint, I can tell you what I just said. Cost of retail goes down to half. And what you should not underestimate, our company, we have 1,000 employees, close to 1,000 employees now, a bit less. If you look to the fixed cost of our company, the fixed cost is quite small. If you do a business case in a big car company, I did this in before, then you will find, in those business cases, you will find a very big part, which is just fixed cost, how do you say, Umlage in English, that's a kind of, the whole fixed cost of the company is assigned to different projects. So if you keep the fixed cost low and just do it proportional spendings, just what you have to do to get the product out, this block will be much, much lower, and cost of retail. These are the two big steps. Then we source completely in China. I think the current status is 99.8% of the cars are coming out of China. And if there are two ways to do this, you can use those big suppliers, like we know all the big European tier 1 producing out of China, then you get already a good cost perspective. But then you can use real Chinese suppliers supplying out of China. This you cannot do for everything today. Maybe for some of the most innovative technologies they are not there, but for a lot of parts you can. And this brings you down to a completely different cost level. And if you really want to, the quality of China, of today's China's car companies is underestimated in many parts of the world. If you look to, for example, GAC, Guangzhou Auto, or to the partner of Volvo here, Geely, they are able to do very high quality cars, very high quality cars. This is near premium in a very, very affordable price. So this is they have way better cost structures than we are used from our European companies.
Selling a car and making a profit, that's hard, yeah?
Yes.
And to develop all the software,
Yes.
all the user experience, it's not cheaper than developing the car.
No.
So how big does your customer base be in order to make a profit?
So our business model says the boundary conditions are we going to scale up to 300,000 units over a 4 years time frame. This 300,000 units will not be only one model. This will be 3 models, but all based on the same technical platform. This is different from Tesla. Tesla did one car after another, spent $1 billion for every car, selling 50,000 cars. This will not work. We have one technical